Hello, today I'm going to be showing you the bokeh technique. We're using 3 colors, Pacific Point, Island Indigo, and Tempting Turquoise. We will be using a whisper white piece of cardstock, and we will sponge the colors on. Later in the video, we will also be using the whisper white craft ink. To begin, we're just going to sponge with Pacific Point and any kind of random shape or pattern. I like to start with my darkest color first, and what we're trying to achieve here is a nice, subtle, soft colored background. Here I'm sponging on the Island Indigo, and I'll be finishing with Tempting Turquoise. I'm going to get a little bit with Pacific Point because I wanted it to be a little bit darker. Next, I'm going to add some white colored specks on with my aqua painter and white craft ink. And I'll be doing this flicking it onto the paper by hitting it against my finger. You won't see the color just yet, but do not worry. Once it dries, or you can heat set it for a faster dry, that white will pop through. To add a little bit more texture to the background, I'm also going to be spraying with alcohol ink and our stamping mist. It kind of gives it like a distress ink that you could Don't worry about the paper warping, it'll flatten out once you dry it with your heat gun. Next, we're going to use a template I created by using my circle punches, and I just kind of punched it through. And I'm going to be sponging on the white craft ink with my sponge. You could also use a sponge dauber, but I feel I can get nice even coverage with the craft ink. I just lightly kind of sponge or use a circular motion. Either one will work. And I just keep going. I will move the stencil around to achieve the nice, soft, out of focused look. You finish it off by using your sponge dauber to create the big, bright white dots. Let your image dry. You can also expedite it by using your heat gun. When you're pulling off your washi tape, make sure to pull gently. I kind of pulled a little hard and ripped my paper, but I also think that I didn't have it dried all the way. But don't worry, where I have my edges, that's where I'll be trimming it with my paper trimmer, which unfortunately is off frame. I apologize for this. Next, we will mount it on some Night of Navy cardstock, and I'm using the fast fuse to give it a nice strong hold, because sometimes when I feel that my paper is still a little wet, I want to have a nice strong bond. When you're using the fast fuse, pull down and go off your paper in a check-like motion. It'll help break the adhesive. I will be mounting getting ahead of myself, apologize for that. Next, we're going to stamp our greeting, which is, let your hair down, it's your birthday. Because I want it placed somewhere specific, I'm going to use my Stamp-A-Majig, and I just used a window sheet just to get the stamp positioned, and it stays on ink. What I like about this stamp is it has the dotted border around the words, which kind of helps me line it up against my border edge. So that way I know for sure I'm going to get this stamp straight on my projects. And I like to use the Stays On ink. It gives me a crisper black ink. You'll see as I'm holding my stamp, I'm also going to cover my Stays On, because Stays On is an alcohol ink and it will dry pretty quick. I'm always afraid I'm going to forget. Now I'm going to add my embellishments. I'm going to be using basic gray baker's twine and some rhinestones. Now, I was going to do the twine first. As you see, I'm just going to wrap it around my card. But then I decided I really want to put my rhinestones on first, so I'm going to switch it up. The rhinestones, I'm not using a set number, I'm just going to put them on randomly, and what I like about the rhinestones is it gives it a little extra spot of color. With the bokeh technique, actually it's a photography technique. It's like a blurred effect that you can get that from a light source. You see it a lot around Christmas time, that you can get your Christmas tree out of focus and the lights on your Christmas tree will make little circles. You can do different shapes besides circles. I've seen people do it with stars or hearts. But I really just wanted the simpleness of the circles. And you see me using my little paper snips here. Our rhinestones have the adhesive on the back, which makes it really easy for us to add these to our projects. All information, card sizes, and item numbers that I'm using here will be available on my blog, which I will link to below. So now I'm going to use the baker's twine, and I'm just going to wrap this around my card, and I believe I do it 3 times around. Leave a little extra tail so you can tie it off when you're done. And you'll see I cut it a little too short, so I struggle a little bit to tie it, and I go a little off frame. I'm just going to tie it in just a regular, just like square knot. One thing I like about the baker's twine, it gives you a nice little embellishment. And this baker's twine is very, very easy to use and very I'm going to spread these out just a little bit to give it a little more dimension and texture. It doesn't want to. Here we go. Stretch. Stretch. And just because I want to make sure that knot stays in place, I'm going to put a little bit of crystal effects behind it to keep the knot secured and also to make sure that it doesn't kind of move around a little bit. And you'll see what I mean by moving around as I go to place it. Squish, and it moved. So I'm just going to put the glue right there. So cute. I'm going to trim up my edges here with my paper snips. And to finish the card off, I'm going to put it on a half full card of Tempting Turquoise. And I'm going to pop it up with some dimensionals. Whenever I have ribbon or string on my card, I like to make sure I put a dimensional or adhesive right where that string is to help secure it a little bit more so I know it's not going to fall off the card. Sometimes it might come off the embellishment and just push really hard. I love adhesive there. I usually frame it around to get the perfect mat on one edge, and then I lay it down across. And there's my card. There's a couple more that I did. I hope you enjoyed this, and come back soon. Happy crafting!